Well, as far as predictions go, we suck. Backward Point's tweets have been now ridiculed all along the Twitter sphere. Islamabad United are knocked out, and it feels like as they were being knocked out, they threw up on Bashar. So he's head to toe Islamabad today. Uh, we're going to talk about what happened in the qualifier number 2. Lahore now in the finals for the third time in 4 years. Life is unfair, and so is Backward Point. With me, as always, my brother, my co-host Bashar Sayed.
Zan Ali from Patreon said, no backward point partnership, no PSL trophy for Islamabad.
Why do you look like Sheru the mascot?
There are parts of my body that are sponsored by Islamabad that I cannot
What?
I cannot reveal on screen.
What?
My pants.
Wow. Whoa. Okay. So this is why you're like head to toe IU
This might be the last day of the year where I can wear my Islamabad merch.
and not look like a fool.
That's true.
But you still look like a fool because they lost today.
And this is my testament to supporting Islamabad, whether they win 5 matches or they lose 4 in a row.
And ultimately, the thesis of this entire podcast is going to be what made them strong is exactly what made them lose today.
Apparently, we are not appreciative enough of the Lahore team. So I hope in this podcast you can give out the flowers to Shaheen as needed.
I mean, 3 for 3 in 3, I believe, is what he got. And
3 for 3 is also what Lahore has in the last 3 matches.
that's true. And they're on an upward scale like none other that we've seen in this PSL. They might actually be the rightful challengers to a Quetta team and a de facto Karachi team in Quetta. But we'll talk about that and much more. But before that, we have to bring a special message from our friends from the Toronto Blue Jays. They are hosting Cricket Day at the Park on the 31st of May, 2025 on a Saturday in Toronto at the Rogers Centre. You can come with your family, and the first 15,000 people that enter the gates will get a Cricket Canada Blue Jays jacket.
I'm looking at the jacket right now on my screen. It's a very beautiful navy blue. There's some light blue going on there as well. Looks beautiful. This is going to be a collectible. It's absolutely free. Tickets starting as low as $28. And this is with the link in our description, which has a 15% off code applied to it already.
Yeah, so if you're in the GTA, if you're in Ontario, if you're in Toronto, if you're in the general East Coast, and you want to have a fun baseball/cricket day with your family, now is the time to introduce your friends, girlfriends, wives. I don't know.
I'll be honest. I don't know why you looked at a girlfriend and said, "Look at me." I find that offensive.
Hey, I'm just trying to give a general message out there to the fans and to you.
This May has been quite gloomy, rainy.
Yeah, it's been a crazy May.
And so I would encourage you guys, come out with your families. The Rogers Centre in downtown has a dome. So if the weather's not good, they'll seal the dome. But
And
if it is good,
yeah,
they'll put it open and you can see the CN Tower in the background as you're watching the Toronto Blue Jays play.
100%. It's a great family event. Bring out your family, bring out your friends, bring out cricket fans and baseball fans alike, and let's get this going.
We're living in an era where digital footprint cannot be erased. And I have this tweet from Backward Point Pod.
Oh, no.
Islamabad United will go back to back in this PSL. Screenshot this if you need to. This was not me.
I mean, if I tweet from the Backward Point account, it's from the both of us. I think you should know that.
Speak for yourself.
It's collective. Like, if we win, we win collectively. And if we lose, it's a collective punishment for both of us. And that's where I stand with that remark.
Can you please defend yourself? You tweeted that?
Okay. I don't know what Islamabad team showed up today because it's not the one that I was tweeting about. The one that I was tweeting about was the one that won 6 straight games.
5 straight games.
5 straight games. And they won 6 in total this season. And I was hoping that was the team that showed up. You know, the momentum that they had in the first 5, the momentum that they carried forward into the playoffs. I was hoping that that's what's going to bind them. But they had 2 chances to make the finals and they blew both of them away. So we'll talk about what really happened here. I said on the top of the podcast, the thesis is what built Islamabad United, what made it strong, the diversity, the fluidity, ended up taking it down. And I will shine a little bit more light on that. Let's go innings by innings. Let's go play by play. Where exactly did Islamabad lose this game in your opinion, Bashar?
Just for the record, Islamabad won their first 5 matches in a row. And then they lost 5 of their next 6 matches.
Yeah.
Islamabad winless at Lahore this season. and Islamabad has the lowest win percentage in their entire record of the PSL at Lahore. There's something about Islamabad playing at Lahore, and I think specifically playing Lahore in Lahore, that they just can't get over.
And I wonder what that monkey is on their back that basically drowned them in this chase to go back to back to back, or back to back, I should say. Their hashtag for this season was for the dream. They wanted to get that fourth chip really bad. Um, the dream is dead for now, but not dead for long. And what this means for Islamabad United and how many players we'll see wearing the Reds next season, that'll be another conversation maybe we should have near the end of the podcast. But it just feels like because they didn't have a core that was playing sustainably or a core that you could rely on, they just kept shuffling so much that their playing 11 became a sort of liability for them.
Let's talk about their core. Their core since last season, and then based on their retentions from this year, was Shahab Khan, Salman Agha, Azam Khan, Naseem Shah, Imad Wasim. This is like your local core. And then I guess amongst foreign players was Colin Monroe was part of that. Salman Ali Agha injured after the first 3 games. Shadab Khan injured after the first 5 games.
4 or 5 games, yeah.
Azam Khan out of form.
Has not played the back half of the tournament at all.
Imad Wasim not firing with the bat as he was last year. His batting last season was absolutely clutch. He won them like 3 matches with his bat. Naseem Shah has conceded 50 plus runs in the last 3 matches he's played, 2 of them being playoff matches. So they have their core. It's there. It's not firing. It's not performing the same way as it was last year.
My pushback immediately would be 4 players or 5 players. Is that a solid enough core? Shouldn't you have like an 8-player, 9-player core, and then 2 or 3 are the ones that are expandable that you can move in and move out?
No, I think a 5-player core is enough because you have to also take into consideration that you have to play an emerging player. You have to have foreign players in there as well, and they keep changing in and out. And I think once we look back on this PSL, this is going to be a Indo-Pak war-struck PSL.
Yeah.
For example, oftentimes people say that Babar Azam won the COVID PSL.
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
Same thing with LeBron James. He won the COVID NBA. Does it count?
Does it count? We don't know.
We don't know.
But
time will tell.
Just looking back at some of the key players Islamabad missed, and this is no excuse because I'm going to get to Lahore's team as well. Islamabad United lost Jason Holder, who was their highest wicket taker, also was scoring key runs in the back end. They lost Colin Monroe, who was at one point right behind Sahib Zada Farhan with respect to most runs for Islamabad this season. They also lost Andres House, who was a top order batsman plus wicketkeeper. So he lost that. Ben Dorshers flew back to Australia. Left arm pacer, somebody who can smack the ball towards the lower end. Riley Meredith, who gave them extra pace. They lost all of these key guys.
Matthew Short, but that was before the Indo-Pak conflict.
Matthew Short, I didn't count because he never really played any matches.
To injury, yeah.
In addition, Kyle Mears also never returned.
Yep.
But at the same time, the Lahore Qalandars also lost Daryl Mitchell, Sikandar Raza, and Sam Billings. 3 of these guys were absolutely key in their top 7. And I think Daryl Mitchell, Sikandar Raza were amongst their top 5 scorers of this PSL. So I don't necessarily think that counting out players lost.
We also didn't mention Alex Hales that they lost.
Correct. Alex Hales had to go to Spain because of his friend's wedding. Priorities.
I think the replacements that both these teams got, that's the difference majorly in their wins today. I think Kusal Pereira, Rajapaksa coming out and scoring runs for Lahore basically settled the game for them. That 61 off 35 by Pereira. Whatever Mohammad Naeem and Abdullah Shafiq had built up in the start, well, Abdullah Shafiq we'll talk about in a second, but whatever they built up in the start, Pereira and Rajapaksa and Asif Ali carried that momentum forward, and that allowed them to hit a 200 mark in a Lahore pitch that was filled with Australian soil, according to you. And just the replacements for Jason Holder being Jimmy Neesham and other players that were Tymon Mills was actually generally kind of good, but still going for a lot of runs. It just did not add up to the deficit that these players had left when they left Islamabad United.
I don't know if you've ever noticed, but Islamabad rely quite heavily on foreign players being amongst their top 3. If you look back just last year, they had Martin Guptill, They had Colin Monroe. And even this season, they had Andres House, Rusty Venerdis in this right now, Colin Monroe. And so what I'm trying to say is that I think they rely quite heavily on foreign players being the aggressors up top, and they rely on like guys like Salman Mirza, Shadab Khan, Azam Khan, Imad Wasim, Haider Ali in the middle order, the local guys. So I think they missed having another foreign guy who could bat top the order with Sahib Lata Farhan.
I agree with you, but I think we're jumping the gun a little bit to the second inning. Let's talk about the first inning just a little bit more. Fakhar Zaman didn't really get going as he wanted to. Yeah, followed cheaply for 12. But Mohammad Naeem, the guy that they've been backing this entire PSL, the one that has had become sort of a punchline and a laughing stock for a lot of the PSL commentators, comes out, scores 50 out 25, proves why he was being backed, proves why he's a clutch player in situations like these, and goes on to score a turnaround match-winning half century, which put Lahore Qalandars on the map to go out and score big, even though that the bowling in the first 10 overs was actually pretty good from Islamabad. It's the latter 10 overs where they lost the plot.
I think we were quite quick on ruling out Mohammad Naeem. I think in the first few matches, he just looked off color. He looked like he couldn't handle the extra pace or just the field positionings that were being set against him. And there was, I think, a match where he got a 50 early on, where he was dropped a couple of times, and that gave him the confidence to go out there, play a big innings. And he's just looked a lot more relaxed since that match where he got runs. And his innings today was absolutely crucial because Fakhar Zaman is the guy that Lahore rely on to go up top, score impactful runs. So when Islamabad got him out early, I thought that that was the game. Like that was a big chunk of the game that Islamabad had gotten. That was a big win for them. But to allow Mohammad Naeem, and then Abdullah Shafiq sort of played an anchor knock, 25-24.
They had a 70-run partnership there in the top off 42 deliveries, and Abdullah Shafiq scored 18 off 18 in that partnership.
I know Abdullah played slow, but the partnership there was key, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if Naeem doesn't let loose, then that 18 off 18 looks horrendous by Abdullah Shafiq. But because Naeem he hit 49 off 24 in that partnership. So he was able to, whatever pressure Abdullah was attaining, he was able to have a release mode for it and not let it build up and actually work up a big score.
I thought Islamabad had things under control up until they got the wicket of Fakhar Zaman, but it was Naseem Shah's third over in the power play that went for 18 runs. And that was all thanks to Mohammad Naeem. He hit him for 4, 6, 4, 4. And that over just changed the momentum of the entire match.
I mean, we've talked about Naseem Shah and sort of his decline and what's actually going on there. And I mean, we've seen it continuously now at this point. Third straight match where he's been hit for more than 50. This was not a pitch where you get hit more than 50. And no wickets in the bucket for him either. It's a horrendous last over. The momentum completely shifting towards Lahore Qalandars. And I mean, the comms has actually been really horrible this entire game. But there was one point where I believe it was Bazid who said that, if there was a turning point for this game, people are going to look back at that 18th over that Naseem Shah bowled and pinpoint at that was the point where the momentum shifted completely towards Lahore. And I believe once that crushing blow was hit, Islamabad really couldn't recover, even though I would still back this team to chase 200 down. But, man, I don't know what's happening with Naseem Shah. I genuinely don't understand it.
In his last over, he was down because he had cramps in his cough. So I think he took some like pickle juice or whatnot, and he was back up bowling. But ever since he got back up to bowl those last 4 or 5 deliveries, he was just off color. Not that he was bowling brilliantly before that, but those cramps didn't help his case. But yeah, I mean, Naseem Shah, platinum pick, your strike bowler. You rely on him to bowl some of the most important overs up front and towards the death. And when he's conceding 52 in an eliminator match, it doesn't set the right tone for the rest of the bowlers. And I expect better from Naseem towards the death at least. Like nail your Yorkers, get your slower balls in. And for Naeem to be smashing him shows a lot where Naseem stands right now.
I mean, 1 for 55 against Gladiators, 0 for 50 against the Gladiators, and then 0 for 52 again against the Qalandars today. So
this has been
157 runs and
one of Naseem Shah's worst PSLs with respect to his bowling economy and his bowling average.
How many wickets has he taken? It's been
9 wickets.
At an average of what?
Like 40 plus.
That's insane. That's not the Naseem Shah that we know and love, man.
9 plus economy.
That's not our guy. What happened to him? What is the breakdown there?
A lot of it is actually his death bowling, because I was looking at a stat today where his power play bowling is still quite good. He's still amongst the top, I think, 5 or 10 bowlers with the best economy this PSL in the power play. So I think it's more towards what's happening to him in the death overs.
He doesn't have a Yorker.
And this has been a large problem by not just Naseem, but all the Pakistani bowlers, specifically in the ODI format. We've seen Pakistan concede 10 plus runs and over on average.
But the last 10.
Last 10 over.
Yeah.
So there is something happening with our death over bowling where either guys aren't being able to nail Yorkers, or they don't have the right variations, or it's just harder to come back in your second spell and put in the effort to bowl Yorkers.
What is that? What is the breakdown there? Why aren't they able to nail those Yorkers or just have a stable death bowling action? What's going on there?
Well, you could say they're training, a lot of it is for T20s. 4 overs in T20s, 2 up front, 2 towards the death. It's quite easy. But when you're coming to ODIs, you're bowling 10 overs in a match,
4 up
probably
front.
4 up front, 3 in the middle, 3 in the death. So, and with every single spell you come back for, your body is more stiff, you're more tired, you're fielding, you're in the heat, and you need to have a certain level of fitness to come back and still deliver the ball with accuracy and with good pace. And I think a lot of the current Pakistani guys have been restricted to just being white ball bowlers, and more specifically T20 bowlers. Like Naseem and Shaheen, there's a lot of talk about giving them rest, but they only play one format, right? Naseem Shah hasn't played T20s for Pakistan in a while. Naseem and Shaheen have both been rested from the test team, so they don't play that format either. They don't play first class cricket. They're only playing T20s.
So what kind of load management are we talking about here?
Right.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe the Naseem and Shaheen era that was so looked upon as a shining era for Pakistan has sort of dwindled and dimmed.
I think we're making a bit mistake right now by just pairing Naseem with Shaheen right now, because I think Shaheen has improved a lot this PSL. We talked about him being one-dimensional. I saw him develop the away swinger to a righty, and I saw him deliver that ball to David Warner. So there is something different happening with Shaheen. Towards the death, aside from the game against Karachi Kings in the group match, Shaheen's been quite well. And in this match, crunch situation, he's given 3 runs and taken 3 wickets.
Shaheen, third most wicket taker this PSL. 12 matches, 11 innings he's bowled. He's taken 16 wickets, best 3 for 3, average of 18, economy of 7.9.
So yeah, we're making a mistake by cupping Naseem with Shaheen in this PSL.
Okay. That's a point for sure. I mean, at this point, the 2 bowlers that are above him are both from Karachi Kings who are knocked out. So Shaheen could very much make a case for himself to be he just needs 2 wickets to be the strike, the top wicket taker and get that Inverex Fazal Mahmood cap and get his whole house solar powered. And Shaheen Afridi.
What happens to a foreign player? What if like somebody else is a non-Pakistani guy is highest wicket taker? Would they then pay them for?
I don't know how that works. Maybe they go overseas and set that up for them. I'm not sure. But all I do know is that 2 more wickets and Shaheen Shafii will be the top wicket taker and undefeated, unassailable lead.
Who's number 1 right now? Abbas Afridi?
Hassan Ali is number 1 right now with
Knocked
17
out.
wickets.
So he's stuck, right?
Abbas and Hassan Ali are both at 17, but I think Hassan has less runs. Yeah.
Right, but they're knocked out, so they can't.
They're both knocked out. So 1 more wicket, and then he will be. He could potentially be number 1 because his average and economy and everything is better than both of them. They're just ahead in number of number of wickets. And then if Shaheen just takes 2 more wickets, then he'll be number 1 for sure, unassailable lead. And then he'll have the Inverex Fazal Mahmood cap, which is then it's an indictment on this Pakistan team that was selected for Bangladesh because they don't have Shaheen Afridi in it, and they do have Naseem Shah, who's just off color right now.
Right. 202. Thanks to partnerships from Shafiq and Naeem, Pereira and Rajapaksa, and then a quick finish towards the end by Asif Ali and Pereira.
How many runs extra did Lahore score in your opinion?
I actually thought this is an average par score. Like this is 200 plus is a good total here. Yesterday, I thought the score was a bit less. They could have, I think Karachi was batting first. They could have scored like 200 plus. Also, I think it was a similar pitch compared to yesterday. And so this was a better total. At the same time, I do think Islamabad United crashed out way too early. This was not a 107 pitch when you're chasing on such a flat pitch where Islamabad's strength oftentimes is to chase. They love chasing, and they had the opportunity to do it in this match.
I just don't understand where the cracks happened, because I believe that they got hit for 220 extra runs. I mean, Lahore hit their century. The first 100 that they hit was in the 12th over. So they got hit for like 90 runs in the last 8. And that's where I feel like they lost the plot, because let's say if it was a 180 target and Lahore is already like notorious for the Islamabad camp. For some reason, they haven't won a single game this season there. I felt like a lower score, like 180, 175, would have been more in the ballpark of this team chasing it down. That being said, once they saw 202 on the board, once they saw what happened to Naseem, another 50 on him without a wicket, I feel like the confidence was low. I also think that that's when they looked back at their playing 11 and saw glaring weaknesses. They don't have a hitter near the middle end. They don't have an Azam Khan who can finish the job. They don't have a recognized opener who can help Saibzada Farhan nail the inning and give them a rocketing start. They saw, once 200 was on the board, the glaring weaknesses, and their playing 11 just came out, and they couldn't overcome whatever plan they had set in motion.
There's 3 things I want to point out with what happened to Islamabad in the chase. And before that, there's one important thing I have to explain, which is how incredible Sendwave's exchange rates are.
Impossibly incredible.
Sendwave is fast, it's secure, and you can use the code SCOREPK on your first transfer and get $10 towards that.
Yes, 100%. So ScorePK is our code that Sendwave has given us. You use it, you get $10 on us. You can even send it. You can send $1 and use our code and get $11 sent over. That's the beauty of this code. And not only that, if you refer 2 people to Sendwave, right, you will have an opportunity to get into the lucky draw for an Umrah package that they are setting up for 6 people all around the world. It's very simple. You recommend 2 people. They both can also use our code ScorePK, and that could help, give you the $10 boost. And every 2 entries, every 2 people that activate, you get an entry in. And that's great. Sendwave has one of the more competitive rates. Now they've also introduced the promo rates all through. So like for beforehand, it was only when you sent over $100 that you got the extended promo rate, but now it's all the way from 1 to 1,000. Use Sendwave, use our code ScorePK, let them know that we sent you by doing this, and enjoy $10 on us.
To summarize, I think it's worth it to use Sendwave on your first transfer because
100%.
you get the best rates. You get $10 towards your first transfer. And I just had a family friend use Sendwave a couple of days ago, and it was seamless.
Yeah, especially for like Eid's coming up, and a lot of people are sending money back home for Bakr Eid. You can use that, save $10 on your animals, and enjoy that $10. Get yourself a coffee, because coffee is expensive nowadays too.
Islamabad had made 25 changes in total in the 11 matches they played this season in the PSL. Now, a lot of that could be attributed to injuries, players coming in and out, the Indo-Pak situation, which caused players to leave and not return.
4 keepers, though? You're going to blame a war for 4 keepers? None of them regulars?
Saibzada Farhan was put in charge to keep wickets, and he hasn't kept wickets in a long time.
Second time
he
keeping.
He is a backup keeper.
Second time wicket keeping in his 117 T20s or something like that. That was the stat.
And his record, while he's a keeper batter, isn't the best. The best number 1
Is that a thing?
That's a thing.
Okay.
Second thing, Mohammad Shahzad was opening today. Mohammad Shahzad has opened. This was his 3rd time opening in his entire 17-match T20 career. His best numbers are at number 4 and number 5. So you're playing Shahzad, an emerging batter, out of his position. It's his first time opening this PSL against Shaheen Afridi, an emerging batter. Issue number 2. Number 3, you promote Imad Wasim at number 5, and Imad Wasim is having one of the worst PSLs ever with the bat. He's hit 150. That was like in a losing cause in a dead rubber match. And he has just not looked like he's there with the bat this season. Number 4, Haider Ali is a genuine batsman, and you demote him to number 8. And there was a point in the match towards the end where Taimil Mills looked like he was the recognized batsman, and Haider Ali was a tailender, because Taimil Mills was hitting 6s, and Haider Ali was giving singles to Taimil Mills.
11 ball 4. from Heatherly.
So I get what they're doing. I can explain exactly what they're doing here. They sent Imad up the order so they can have a lefty-righty combination, so they can extend the batting lineup, so they can basically use Imad Wasim as a low-value wicket. I get that. Imad doesn't perform, so the backlash will come. They also promoted James Neesham ahead of Heather Ali, again because they wanted a lefty-righty combination. James Neesham doesn't get going, so it looks bad on Islamabad, their management, and the whole hashtag democracy approach. Because people are like, why is a genuine batsman going at number 8, whereas Imad Wasim, a guy who hasn't had the best PSL with the bat, going ahead of him, going ahead of Shadab even, and James Neesham, who's playing his second match in the PSL, going ahead of Heather Ali, a local batsman who knows these pitches, these grounds, these conditions?
You did a similar mistake the other day on a game that we played. You remember that?
Which one?
We had an impact player, Najib, who you sent at number 8, and he went and scored like 16 off 5. And you were like, what? I don't know you could do that. Because you were doing the same thing that Islamabad did, which is like, oh, when a lefty gets out, then you go in. And back-to-back righties went out. So I went in above him and another player went above him. And we both did decent, like run a ball 8 9s. And this guy comes in like near the end when the game was already done and dusted and he scores 16 off 5 or 16 off 6. And that's when you're like, oh, shoot, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Sometimes the over-aggressive approach of the fluidity of it all, the righty-lefty combination of it all, sometimes comes back and bites you. And I think as a broader picture, as a macroscopic guy, I think this is a lesson well learned for Mike Hesson and company to execute this strategy with a little bit more nuance when it comes to the international stages. Because I believe we're going to see a lot of this when Pakistan play Bangladesh and so on and so forth in the next few series and all the way to the World Cup. I think that's going to be the case. But I think it's also important to know that, confirmation bias can come and bite you in the butt. And Mike Hesson, Rehanul Haq, looking at the scenario, seeing themselves knocked out and out of the tournament, should reawaken some sort of cause for stability. Like I believe in the approach that you're talking about, which is data driven, which is matchups driven, which is the fluid driven, and it's all about the matchups and who plays who and when and all. I totally am behind that modern day approach where you decide matchups and you hold off players and you send certain players overs, other players for low value wicket impacts and all that. And most of the times that'll come through. But there's also something to be said about stability and core strength and having maybe a top 7 that's your top 7 and then making the other 4 people run around them and moving these pieces along. The other thing that I think came to bite Islamabad is the lack of competition. The lack of opportunity that they gave the emerging players this entire season. Mohammad Hunain, how many games did he get?
He bowled 1 over this entire PSL.
That's wild. Shaheen Hussain, I remember last year got no games. I believe who was the other emerging for them?
Saad Masood.
No, last year.
Ubaid Shah played 1 match.
Same thing with him. So like now you have to play an emerging player, which then becomes a sacrifice wicket in Mohammad Shahzad because you didn't let him bowl, and now you're sending him to open, and he's gonna play in swinging Shaheen Afridi, who looked like he was out for blood. Come on, man. That's tough on the emerging guy. That's tough on the entire team. The pressure starts from the top.
So the argument is that Islamabad had underexposed their emerging players. Even when Shahzad was playing, he was basically being cushioned by all the foreign guys and the local guys.
There were some games where it felt like they were playing with 10 players.
The last 2 games, Ghazi already was playing as a specialist keeper. Not a keeper batter, but a keeper. He was batting at number 8 or 9. Last game, he went to bat below Naseem Shah.
Why does this management suddenly have no faith in Nazim Khan? How bad is his keeping? Is it worse than what Saiz Wala Farhan did today?
I think there's 2
things. A drop
things.
catch, 2 4s, and multiple other chances?
With Azam, there's a couple of things. The first and foremost thing is that his batting hasn't been the best. I heard Shadab Khan say that they expect Azam to win them 2 matches in the PSL. I would say the 1 match against Karachi in Karachi, where he opened, that was a very tough pitch, so he did do his job there.
He scored 30 off 30 or something.
Right. But aside from that, I think the way Azam's been getting out against high pace, against short stuff deliveries, it seems like he's been worked out by the opposition. The second part is that Azam's keeping hasn't been the best, and he's been leaking runs with buys and drop catches behind the stumps. So that's why they have more confidence, where I think Andre's House was keeping 1 match, and then they brought in Ghazi Ghori to keep, and now they thought it was a better idea to give Sahib Farhan the gloves than just bring back Azam Khan. No, I get what they're doing, and like the way Azam's been getting out, he seems like he's low on confidence. The last 12 months, he's been averaging like the low 10s.
67 runs scored in 7 matches or 6 matches by Azam Khan.
Azam's worst PSL ever.
He only went to double digits twice. And the catching was not
so I can see why they dropped him. There is a low confidence feeling within Azam, and then same thing from the management to Azam.
Azam's had a really tough year since the last T20 World Cup all the way to today.
His highest score is 30 that he scored against Ireland in Ireland.
And 31, I guess, against Kings.
Right.
In Karachi, I believe. Yeah. But Azam Khan is the guy that was a core piece in their win for that championship last year. You not give more faith to this guy and let him run the entire series. He only got 6 games out of the 12 that they played.
I think the onus here is on Azam, where if he's seeing that teams have worked out that he struggles against high pace and short stuff, that he needs to go in the nets and needs to work on his short stuff.
I mean, he
needs to learn how to play the pull shot, because he can't just keep backing away and hitting it over third man. Because even with that shot, if he has one shot, he can keep a fielder there. He can get caught out there. So I hope Azam uses the time off that he has right now and works on the stuff.
Yeah, definitely some time off for Azam. I don't think he's playing anything in the next few months. That's a great time to work on his fitness, to work on his weaknesses, to work on the pull shot, the short stuff. He has the privilege actually to hire a coach and work on it and be the best that he can be. He's still a young man. He's your age. He's a 98 kid. So he's your age. He has a lot of cricket in front of him. This might be a dip, but champions come out of this. The players that he looks up to, the Ronaldos, the Kohlis, the Sarfaraz Ahmeds even, they would come out of this. And I'm hoping that he has to. Now, does that mean that, I guess this might be the conversation we have near the end, but I just want to flag this. Will we see Azam in the Reds next year? Will we see Naseem in the Reds next year? Next year, we might even see a couple more teams interested. So there might be a bigger pool of people to draft from. It's going to be an interesting question we have near the end.
Islamabad had lost 4 wickets for 33 in the power play, and I think the game was pretty much done there. They do rely on their deep batting order, but when guys like Imad aren't in form, Heather Ali is coming in at number 8, where he's batting with Tamil Mills and Naseem Shah. It looked tough, and they sort of crashed and burned at 107. I thought I was hoping for a better match, like a closer match. Islamabad is typically known for chasing scores, and I thought if they had gotten the game deeper, we could have had a tight match.
I agree. I think they lost a plot in the power play. That was a make or break for them. But we have to talk about Shaheen Shah really here. 3.1 overs, 1 maiden, 3 runs, 3 wickets. What just happened to him? Like, is this the Shaheen Shah that we've been missing and we've been calling and beckoning upon this entire PSL, and he shows up right at the crunch moment as the captain, as the playoff bowler that he is, and leads his team into the finals, because this was a team that was on the brink of being knocked out. Here, a game there, and they were out. They wouldn't even make the top 4, and now they're in the finals with Quetta. And this is also the team that got knocked out last year, winning 1 game out of 10. So they're setting up a new rule here, which is don't rule us out. We're the sum of our parts. And with a captain like Shaheen Afridi, who says what he does in press conferences and post-match interviews, he found himself in the finals against Quetta.
I think what Shaheen Afridi and Lahore Qalandars have achieved here has to be applauded, because they have made 3 finals in the last 4 years. They've won 2 of them, and this is all under the captaincy of Shaheen Afridi. Now, the last year when they finished at the bottom, there was a lot of chat around how Lahore won back-to-back because they had a super team with Rashid Khan, with Fakhar Zaman being in crazy form. But this season, they've come back. They've had a better draft. They've tried to fill in the gaps from last season. And like, all kudos to Shaheen, the management, for coming back. They were sort of at the brink of elimination at one point. They beat Zalmi to qualify for, in the top 4.
Which is itself a sweet victory.
Correct.
Why would you laugh at that? I'm just saying, like, there's a lot
because of the whole Shaheen Babar.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's why it's sweet, right? Yes, and the Shaheen Haris thing too.
Right.
And the Siam thing, like, oh, you think you're bigger? You're better than me? You're knocked out. So I think Shaheen has a look, we've been advocating for all of these, the core 3, the Rizwans, the Baburs, the Shaheens, and the Naseems. I would fit him in there as well somewhere, to be better. we want to support these people. We want to support them in international cricket, in local cricket. We don't want to troll them. We don't want to meme them. We don't want to share those memes at all. We want to be on the other side of history where we look up to these people as legends. But in order to do that, they have to treat themselves as professionals. And I believe finally, after much sense being knocked into him by everybody, Shaheen has improved himself. He's certainly humbled because he's not talking about, oh, I'm a premium all rounder anymore. I'm a premium fast bowler. He's like, don't call me any of that stuff. I'm not an all rounder. I'm just gonna work on my batting. I'm gonna work on my bowling. He's developed an outswinger to the right hander, which is something that we've been mentioning about how predictable he is and how readable he is now in the international circuit. At least he has another bullet in his arsenal that he can deploy when it comes to it. And honestly, looks like he has a good head on his shoulders. He's reading the game accurately. He's leading from the front. I still think about what it could have been if Shaheen had led this Pakistan team throughout at least a World Cup. Maybe it would have been different circumstances. That split in the timeline, I wonder where that takes us. But it's glad to see. I'm glad to see Shaheen in the wickets, in the captaincy, in positive modes, in good fortunes. And, for me at least, the finalists that have been chosen or that have been selected now after this entire PSL is gone, because we only have one game left. Not my favorite, but I'm hoping it's going to be a fun and tight game because I'm all in for a really close finish. This PSL has been marred with a lot of controversy, both in and out of the field. And the problem that I believe that, Lahore crowd didn't show up today to support Lahore. And I believe I'll be surprised if there's a lot of people showing up to the final even on Sunday. It's because we're not seeing good cricket. We're not seeing close competitions. It's a washout. It's complete blowout from one team to the other. And that's not interesting. This is the first PSL that I've probably seen every single game of. And yeah, like I don't even know how the IPL guys are doing it because that's just like so much cricket, man. Like you get inundated so quickly and it's like it's washing over you. The cricket's not happening to me, it's happening at me. And I'm like,
But an argument against that is that the NBA season is longer than this.
yes. And
the Blue Jay season, they play, I think, hundreds of matches.
Yeah. Bro, the biggest problem right now in the NBA, if you watch any sports, if you watch any, Stephen A. Smith videos or even any first take videos, the problem is how do we make the regular season interesting? Because it's the same thing. It's a complete blowout. The main players are not playing the playoffs anymore. Oh, sorry, are not playing the regular games anymore. They're playing like half of them. Gone are the days where Michael Jordan is playing every single regular game and every single playoff game. They're just like load managing. This is where the term is coming from. It's coming from the NBA when Kawhi Leonard was like, I'm not going to play half the season. But then he went out and won the thing against the 76ers and then the Warriors for Toronto. That whole load management thing is now becoming a trend. And so when you and I, if you and I were to take a random ticket, a random Raptors game, let's say a Raptors versus Lakers game, we probably might not even see LeBron play, or we might not see Luka come into the second half. Like it's pretty bad. Star players are sitting themselves out so they can play the playoffs, and that's it.
So are players making more money per game now because they're missing so many matches?
No, they're making the same amount because those are yearly
like if you divide their pay by the amount of matches they're playing.
Sure. Yeah, I guess so. If you work it out like that, but it's a problem that they're having because people in the NBA are like the fans are not tuning into regular games.
Who's allowing these players to sit out?
Management.
If I'm the Lakers and if I'm paying $40 million to LeBron James, I want him playing every single match.
Maybe LBJ is different because he's one of those people that has been in the. He's such a legend that he does come and play every single game. But Kawhi Leonard has probably played half the season this year. His team hasn't even made it to the top. There's a lot of key star players that are not playing the entire season, and that's causing lower viewership. And at the back of the NBA selling their rights to ESPN and the Disney people for $76 billion for like 8 years or 9 years or 10 years, something like that. Overvalued stock for underrepresented market. That's the problem here. That's the same thing that's happening in cricket. The IPL stock is what, $5 billion for like 10 years or something like that. Overpaid for an undervalued stock. So the answer is not more regular games or regular season games. The answer is just better cricket and better basketball.
But you can't curate that. It's just luck. If games, luck.
So
the first few PSLs were amazing because there were so many close matches, last over finishes, super overs, and
last year's PSL.
That's what kept people in tune.
Yeah,
and I agree with you. I think I've watched every single ball of this PSL, And aside from a couple of matches, it's been quite lackluster.
It's been a drag.
It's been one of the most boring PSLs in history.
I mean, we'll talk about once we do the PSL wrap up right before the series for Bangladesh. We'll talk about the pitfalls, the shortcomings, where the PSL has gone wrong. I would love to get Ali Tareen on this as well if we can, right after the PSL, and have his input on this as well, because his team got knocked out, but he has a lot to say about the PSL and about the improvements or lack thereof. And I believe he might be the right guy to guide us through the abyss, which is just because this is an unsustainable model right now. If these games are going to be this one-sided and lackluster and not fun, because there's a period in the middle, Bashar, where it's just a drag to follow this series. And I don't know how the IPL guys are doing it, because that too seems like a drag to me.
Thoughts on Salman Mirza? He came into the PSL for Lahore 3 games ago. And in the 3 games he's played, he's been man of the match in 2 of them. And these have been do or die crunch matches for Lahore. His action kind of reminds me of Usman Shenwari. Like he doesn't swing the ball as much. It's just good lines, good lengths. There's no speed gun. I would love to see how fast he's bowling. But he's been a wicket taker, 7 wickets in 3 matches.
The ball he bowled to Sahib Farhan was crazy. Like Sahib Farhan was surprised that he had nicked that back into the stumps. And that just goes to show that he was not being picked up as well as people thought he would be. And he was taking crucial wickets with Shaheen Shafidi on the other end. So he was using the prime bowler that he had, the captain on the other end, to contain. And then he was being the aggressor. And it paid off. I mean, he took, in the power play, he had 3 wickets, man. What else do you want?
We thought Jahan Dad would be key for Lahore, or Zaman Khan would be key for Lahore, or David Wiese, but Salman Mirza was not somebody I had on my radar. So he's been impressive. I think I've heard he's a product of their PDP program. So Islamabad, in essence, in this match, have been blown away by Mohammad Naeem and Salman Mirza.
2 PDPs. There we go. I mean, we've been critical of the PDP, and suddenly we're in the finals. So what do we know?
With Lahore playing in Lahore in the finals, with them just winning 3 games back to back, I think they're on an upward curve. They've got their top order in form. They've got their middle order guys in form. They've got a Shaheen who's taking wickets. They've got a Salman Mirza, an emerging pick who's taking wickets. I don't want to jump the gun, but I do think Lahore is looking to be in a very strong position to win this.
Yeah. I mean, before we go, don't you want to talk about your friends at Yashi?
Don't you mean Canada's home of cricket?
I always mean that. Whenever I say Yashi, that's what I mean.
Well, Yashi Sports, if you live under a rock, is the go-to place to buy cricket equipment if you're in North America. They've got a large variety of equipment that you can explore. You go to yashisports.com, pick your equipment, add it to the cart, use the code BP10, and get 10% off your purchase.
Man, cricket season has started. And if you guys are not getting your cricket purchases done yet, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Use BP10. It's on us, guys. 10% off on us. Use it. Have fun. Play your cricket.
And it doesn't matter whether you're a beginner starting out or if you're a pro player. Yashi Sports has all the variety and the range of equipments you can imagine. If you go in person, you can get their expert advice, which they pride themselves in. And we have first-hand experience that when you went to Yashi Sports a couple of months back. And I got my thigh pads, you got your shoes, and we've been using them, and we love them.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Yashi Sports, for sponsoring this podcast and many others like it before. Before we wrap up, before we find ourselves out of this studio, because this is our last PSL Daily.
Wait, I have a couple of things before we can go.
Let's go.
This might be an end of an era for Islamabad United. And I say this because of 2 reasons. The first one being is that now Mike Heston is with the Pakistan team. So I don't think he can continue as the head coach of Islamabad.
Is that a clause? Wasn't Mickey Arthur doing that?
Azhar Mahmood was the Pakistan assistant coach, or he was the bowling coach, and he wasn't allowed to continue with Islamabad.
Mickey Arthur was the Pakistan coach, and he was...
That was a few years back, and that was an exception for Mickey.
Why can't they make an exception for Mike? I believe that there might be some
They
clause.
if they want to, but what's happened with Azhar Mahmood is that he wasn't allowed to continue.
Is that the same case with Aqib as well? Aqib wasn't allowed to continue either.
That's true, right?
Interesting.
So if Mike Heston doesn't continue, they need a new head coach. And then secondly, if there's 2 more teams added to the PSL, that means that the 6 teams that we have right now won't be able to retain the same amount of players as they do every year. And I think the number that they retain is 8 players. So that means lower attentions. That means a different core that they may have.
We're going to see a big shakeup is what you're saying.
Right.
I think you're right. And I think it's going to be interesting to see where a lot of these players end up and where a lot of these players find themselves in the next season. If we do indeed get 2 new teams in, it'll be an interesting little experiment to see what this means. I mean, Islamabad had a good run, if I'm being honest. 10 years, 4 trophies. Oh, sorry, 10 years, 3 trophies. I mean, in winning the first ever PSL and then winning the 9th PSL, those were the 2 ones that I remember vividly being really, really impactful. And the legacy is going to be in what kind of players they produce and what kind of players play on in the international circuit with the Islamabad history in the back.
I want Islamabad to go back to their roots, where the saying was, if you're an emerging pick for Islamabad United, you will likely go on to play for Pakistan.
Yeah.
And in the past 2 or 3 seasons, that hasn't been the case. They have been underexposing their emerging picks. And I get that. I get that Islamabad's main job is not to develop players, but it's to win matches. And that's their end goal. So they can use whatever tactic they can as long as it's within the rule books to win the matches.
Yeah.
But I do feel like Islamabad, they need to go back and they need to just give some more chances to emerging guys, because right now, Saad Masood was an exciting talent. He barely got matches. He barely bowled a few
Because
overs.
he was in competition with the captain. He's playing the same role as Shaheen is. Like, that was a weird signing anyway, in my opinion. Do you think Rehan Haq comes back to Islamabad for season 11?
Absolutely.
What if he gets offered a brand new team, a brand new everything? Hyderabad is like, come here. We'll give you everything you had at Islamabad, plus more freedom. Just build this team out. It's yours.
I think it's
been 10 years. That's a long time to work for one organization.
I think it's not just Islamabad, but it's the fact that I think Rehan and Shadab have that combination going where they really.
How do we know Shadab is staying?
Shadab says that he wants to play for Islamabad as long as he's playing in the PSL.
Well, people say a lot of things until the back drops. That's all I'm going to say to that. Where will we be next year, Bashar? Will we be with Islamabad? Will we be with the brand new team? Will we be at the PSL at all? Or will we be again doing PSL Daily again? Because this is the last one, man. The next PSL reporting we're going to do is going to be a live stream for the final. And then that's it. Pin on the bow. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sendwave. Thank you, Yashi. Thank you, the TBG. We'll be out.
Time will tell. All I'm going to say is that last year, the Backward Point team collaborated with Islamabad United. They won the PSL. Backward Point collaborated with Toronto Nationals, and they won the G20.
Okay.
Do the math.
If you're listening in, do the math. Thank you very much, you guys, for tuning into every single PSL Daily. This was a vast experiment for me and Bashar. I mean, we haven't really done something like this ever. And doing like 30 odd podcasts in like 45 days, that's insane. That's an insane number of podcasts. We have no social life. We haven't seen this guy in about a month and a half. I haven't met my family and my child in over 35 days. So it's going to be nice to meet them again. And if you guys enjoyed this content, please like, share, subscribe. I'll do all that stuff. Check out our Patreon. Our Patreon chat was absolutely fire. Thank you everybody on that for having a great time, man. Like, for honestly, sometimes I wouldn't even check the ESPN scores. I would go to the chat and see like what the general consensus is and feel out the vibe like that. And same thing with the Discord fam. Everybody that has been supporting us, it's just a great time. And we've been doing this for over 2.5 years. We didn't know we'd be able to do it for so long. And now we have avenues where we can help people and give back with the help of Sendwave and Yashi and all those guys. So thank you very much. We'll see you guys at the live stream on Sunday. Quetta versus Lahore. Which team are you going to be supporting, Bashar?
It's tough because I do love Sabeen Rana. He's an alumni of the podcast, the co-owner of Lahore. At the same time, Quetta is the pseudo Karachi team.
Yeah.
It's the Karachi team hidden in the Quetta
colors. So you're torn. I just want a great game. It feels like a last ball thriller, last word 10 needed. Whoever's chasing does it. That's what I'm rooting for. It's a good game, good final to wrap things up.
Who's winning?
I think Quetta's winning.
I'm going to say Lahore.
Quetta's winning, in my opinion.
By the way, whatever you said, the opposite happened.
Yeah,
so if you were saying Quetta, that means Lahore's going to win.
You're welcome, Samirana, for my prediction. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you guys whenever we catch you guys. Probably for a preview for the Mother series.
Yep. See ya.
All right.